Well, hello everyone. I thought it might be useful to do a video on traditional technique for snare drum. And of course, when doing such an instructional video, it's important to also touch on the reason why the technique was invented in the first place and the extent to which it is still useful in this day and age, if in fact it is at all useful. And of course, the opinions on that vary between person to person with whom you speak about it. This video isn't so much about my opinion as it is about just how to do the grip in a physiologically healthy fashion if you in fact choose to use it. So traditionally in military bands, drums were always worn on slings and therefore the drum would be on an angle. You can see that it's difficult for me to play with match grip when the drum is on this angle because I'm either going to hit rims by accident or I'm going to have to angle my left shoulder up in order to be able to get a decent approach angle with my left stick. So this of course causes a problem because number one, shrugging your shoulder up like this is physiologically unhealthy, but number two, also the drum is hanging off of this shoulder on its sling. So the more I angle up, the more the drum angles over. The more I have to angle up, the more the drum angles over. The more I have to angle up, the more the drum angles over, until it just gets completely ridiculous. So they invented this, so that I'm getting just as good a playing angle with my left hand in traditional grip as I'm getting with my right hand in match grip. That being said, in this day and age, however, drums are generally level in show band and marching drum corps programs. They'll be on a carrying device that's where the weight is equally balanced on both shoulders and on the upper back and the drum is level. So it's actually more pragmatic, certainly in most settings and percussion in general, to play with match grip because then my grip is completely symmetrical from one hand to the other. I'm operating the sticks in exactly the same way. However, a lot of programs still use traditional because they think that the lack of symmetry looks cool. So, I don't know, if you think that looks cool and you really want to learn it, then this is a video that will inform you on how to do it. There are a variety of different styles of playing traditional technique. You can see some players will do it like this, some players put just the index finger over the stick. My way is to put the thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger over the stick and have the ring and small fingers underneath the stick. Now, as much as this technique is asymmetrical from one hand to the other, a certain amount of symmetry still needs to be preserved. So for example, Todd Meehan, who teaches at Baylor University in Texas, does a great video on how to use your fulcrum effectively. He talks about how if you're holding back here, you're not getting enough rebound, so you keep snugging up until you get the most amount of rebound. If you snug up too far, then you're not getting any power. So it tends to be about there. So for most standard stick lengths, 3 fingers from the end of the stick to the end of the grip. Then, when you pick up the left stick, what you want to think about is where your fulcrum is, where your balance point is. In the right hand, it's the thumb and the index finger. In the left hand, it is still also the thumb and the index finger. So once you've decided how far up your stick you're going to hold with your right hand, you hold your right hand up, and then you hold your left hand up, and you make sure that the sticks are in the same position and the thumb and the index finger are in the same position. So even though I have more of my stick behind my grip here than I do here, this is the way you have to do it because the role that these fingers play in front of the fulcrum is exactly the same as the role that these fingers play behind the fulcrum. It's just reversed. So you can see that when I play with match grip and I want to stop the stick from coming back up, I'm bringing it right into my hand like this. Likewise with traditional grip, when I want to stop the stick, I use these fingers here. So essentially these fingers underneath the stick are playing exactly the same role that the palm of my hand above the stick plays here, because that's the way the stick is levering. So when I go down and stop it like that, then I'm also using these fingers here to stop it. Now also, if I want to just play and use rebound, you'll notice, when you look at that the stick is never actually touching the palm of my hand, because if it does, then energy is being wasted here that's not going into there. So my fingers are always pulling the stick down, and then the stick pushes my fingers back away. Likewise, with the left hand, you can see here that when I'm using these as a stopping device, if I'm playing with rebound, then I don't want the stopping device, so these fingers get out of the way so that these ones can continue to pull the stick down. Like that. So there you have it. It's just a little bit of a breakdown on stopping versus rebounding, stopping versus rebounding. With double strokes, There's another double stroke video I did where I go into this in more detail, but the same idea here where the grip kind of lets go and then comes back, grabs the stick back down. Likewise, on the left hand, the grip kind of lets go here and then grabs onto the stick again. So in the right hand, you have this, and in the left hand for double strokes, you have this. So you can kind of see the symmetry between the way both hands work to do double stroke rolls. Now, a lot of drum set players claim that you can get a certain degree of finesse with their left hand when they're ghosting and comping on the snare drum, that you can get that finesse with the left hand with traditional grip that you cannot get with match grip. However, other drummers disagree. This is the one cautionary thing that I'm going to say, however, is that when the drum was on an angle, you may have noticed that I got quite a wide range of thrust. I get a lot of height out of my stick. With the right stick, I can get virtually unlimited height, so I'm getting a lot of volume from both hands. Now, my hand can only pick up so high when I'm playing left-hand traditional, which means that when I level the playing surface back out, my hand still only picks up so high, and then it can only go down that far. It can't go down further as it went on the angled surface. So you end up having this discrepancy between your two hands about the amount of power you can actually get. And of course, in drum corps and marching band programs, there is a lot of loud playing because they're trying to fill a football stadium with sound, and they're playing on Kevlar heads with a tremendous amount of tension on them and very large sticks. So you'll see when I'm trying to play loud on a level surface, I have to actually kind of shrug this shoulder down in order to be able to play. Of course, if you're in a drum corps and you're wearing one of those carrier devices, you can't shrug a shoulder down. It doesn't look uniform, and uniformity and visual appeal is a large aspect of drum corps, but also it's way off balance. So what you'll actually have, and I've seen this before, you'll have these cultures in high school marching band programs and in show band and drum corps programs where people will actually sit in a hallway and they'll spend half their time practicing and half their time trying to twist and contort their arm over as far as it can go so that they can maximize the amount of height that they can get out of their left-hand traditional stick when playing on a level surface. And this is where severe physiological problems can happen. Everybody is built differently. Some people can twist their arm way over, some people cannot. If you cannot, then you should not do that to yourself. It's very bad. So you need to, if you're in an environment where you have to play traditional technique, then you just need to figure out ways of being mechanically as efficient as possible while playing level to get lots of volume. You can see sometimes I can even release from the fingers altogether and hook it back in with my thumb to get one powerful note, but with double strokes, you can't really do that. You kind of need to have these fingers a little bit more involved. So in any case, if you're going to play traditional technique, just make sure that you're doing so for the right reasons. Make sure that you are being healthy and being good to your body while you do it. And make sure that you continue to develop match grip, because match grip is extremely efficient. You're just flopping your wrist. This is a completely natural, normal motion. It's very easy to play as fast as you need to with the combination of your wrists and fingers here. Whereas with traditional technique, you are actually rotating your entire arm. So you're activating way more groups of muscles. One last thing I'll say about traditional technique that I forgot to mention earlier is the angle of your arm is important, because if I angle like this, then when I turn my arm, nothing really happens. Whereas if I angle like this, then when I turn my arm, I'm playing at a horrible angle. And also because I'm stretching these tendons out here, I don't have as much control in my hand here. Once again, symmetry from left hand to right hand. You would never play match grip like this, because then your tendons are stretched out, so you don't have as much mobility and strength in your fingers. So this is also going to restrict mobility and agility in your fingers. So what I like to tell students to do is to take the stick and put it on their hand and their arm to make sure that it's straight all the way across, so that when they do turn, they're turning the stick straight up and down. So that's all for now. See you next time.